Alright, so hello and welcome to the Area 2 portion of the Intermediate to Advanced tutorial. We'll go right into the start of the second area. You would end up not at the menu, you would have went through a cutscene, you would have mashed through this as you know, and you would have clicked Advance and instead just saved it for the point of this tutorial. So we're going to the door. Optimal, always remember the angles and everything. Same thing, but this, like, walk we're getting ready to do, hallway walking, is very important. Straight angles. Turn as soon as possible. You don't have to turn the flashlight off like me, I just personally like doing it. If you turn the flashlight off, you see how the angle changes a little bit higher? I can see the floor better. That's why one of the reasons why I personally do it, so I can see exploders and mice and I can avoid them a little bit better if I don't want to hit them, because they're in like ghost spawns and they're going to cause me to get scared. Again, you don't need to do that if you're comfortable enough with seeing it without it. As you can see it, it's just a little bit easier for me to do it that way. That's basically why I do it. You can see I do like some type of weird, I do one of the weirdest movements in the hallways. Anyway, tight, make sure you turn as soon as you get to the corner. Over here, let's see what we got in here. You basically, this one's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to go in here and get the double and stand here, shake the guy off, circle with the C-stick, turn around. Get your double and make sure you keep those animations, wiggle, everything else in mind as you do it. Make sure you're as far under the key as you can be. You want to be like right under the key, because where I am right here, I'm probably going to have a slight problem with this being optimal. If I turn around right away and just turn up, it might be a little weird. It worked out okay. Kind of like came out a little bit more to make up for it. Came up right a little bit to make up for it because of the vacuum stream. Kind of have to like keep all of that stuff in mind when you're doing it, you know. Show one more example, but I think it's pretty easy. Scare skip too if you want. And then you stand right under it. I'm going to explain one more thing after this too. Around and then back to the door. Gotta go back to the door. Anyway, right when the ghost like grabs onto you is right when you can shake them off the fastest. Like try to time the C-stick spin. So right there, or jig if you're gonna do that, either one. And then go straight back to the door. And all those animations and everything else you gotta keep in mind. Make sure you're looking at the strings, make sure they're tight when they go into the vacuum, all that same stuff. Going back over here. Good old nice movement. Shy Guys is one of the most easiest things to practice in the game, unfortunately, but one of the hardest things to do, especially fast. But it also helps you with all types of things, because you can see suck-ups, how fast your suck-ups are, because everything's on cycles. It's all kind of fun stuff you can do. But before, you probably just like turned without a scare skip and just got the double, and you went to the next one, and you would pull the mask off like some type of way and try to get the double. Right? Not even really explaining too much about it. Probably had to explain a little bit because they're pretty complex just to get easy. But I mean, with the Shy Guys, you really just have to like anticipate where they're gonna go and where they're gonna be. Both of them really. So you can anticipate taking their vacuum off. There's a couple of different ways you can do scare skips too. You can either do it, most people will turn around and then go like this. And you still got that vacuum spread around, and then you want to pull back obviously to where the next double is. Make sure you got the tight string and pull to the next double. No, don't just like be over here and then get the double and then not move to the next thing. You always want to continue to move to the next thing. I normally do it this way, which sometimes I don't do it well. It seems to be one of those days where you can like you can turn upright, move the C stick right, and press X and then B in like within a few frames. It's like move upright, right, X, B. All of those inputs that fast. It's slightly faster because you're moving toward it as opposed to against it. It doesn't make too much of a difference with the cycles. So it seems to be the same at the end and then just turning around. Overall, if you do it fast either way. But you know you want to rotate toward the first Shy Guy mask. Also like to rotate against the one that's happening there. So like you go to this one and then go to the next one. And if you do that correctly, the mask will come off while already going to the next one. So you're like moving from one to the other there. I don't think I have to do that. Nice lucky mouse. Alright. It's not quite how you want to do it there, and I didn't have a good angle there. I wasn't at the right angle for that. Don't even really have to use save states, just have to walk back out here. Just make sure you're keeping it moving. Especially if the animations are like separate apart like that, make sure you're in between them, keeping them tight. You can see the string. Make it tight. You notice how the second that they started to come into the vacuum, I just stood still and it just dropped and everything just stopped and it went into the vacuum very nicely there. But like I said, this is where you can see suck-ups and all types of things. Like, if you do suck-ups faster, the faster you can go far enough back to that. This is where I noticed that the slower ones were slightly quicker. You want to get all the life off first. This is where you notice, this is where you really notice like how people that are like really good at this game get like really good cycles, and everyone else gets like okay or somewhat good cycles that are good at this game. It's all animation control and suck up speed combination. You can see it so much more than you can anywhere else because bad, but you see it so much more here because everything's on a cycle, so they'll be in the same place every time. Just for the record, I would probably suggest that you do the turnaround and not do like the method that I do, unless for some reason you find it more comfortable for me. I guess for me, I wouldn't do that. There's a lot of like insane things to do there. It's not really going to save you any time, if anything at all. I doubt it saves anything at all. Pay attention to like, if you do that first double really quickly, that you might pull the third one off. You might pull an extra mask off over here of the third double. You don't like pay attention to your angles and make sure that you have to like foresight know where the third double is going to be and make sure that you're not sucking the mask off in front of you for that double at the same time that you're getting rid of the double. You don't want to actually suck up the one beyond that also, because it is like where you're angled is not just going too fast. You know, if you want to be like really safe with it, like turn at an angle to avoid it. Do whatever you can, you know, you don't... A slightly slower double is going to save you more in the long run than a missed double will. Especially if you're doing like a race or something, I mean, you can keep those things in mind. Alright, one more example, we should be good. Doesn't bother me that much. And I mean, the dancers are pretty simple, you know, they have RNG, they show up 10 seconds earlier, they don't. You do whatever you want to. When. So, you do whatever you can. I found the animation easier to get tighter because you're closer to the chest here. You don't necessarily have to do it from the top, but I found it a little bit faster to do it that way. So I would say it's the faster method if you want to take that on. And as usual, we go right to the chest. And you try not to miss the key when you go to the door. And let's see here. Where we go in here? On top of Alright, I guess we'll just continue with it, it's fine. Can't get anything to save. I can just go 2 rooms over with this one. So you want to go directly to the, I like to go directly to the bucket because it can have a mushroom in it, and it gives you a chance to avoid it. Not every time, but a lot of the time it gives you a chance to avoid it. So it kind of does what it can. So I would just go directly for it, hit it, and if you do it fast enough, you're going to scare skip as well there. And you want to do this lovely little skip here. This goes, and this double I don't think I explained in the previous thing either. The let's see here. I can do this way. No, I guess not, so we'll just use the door and then... Oh no, we got it, okay. So we have the save state, so you want to line yourself, like, with the mirror. Like, let's see if I can get rid of these guys. Like, right in line with the mirror here, and just vacuum is what I like to do here. And you kind of do a rotation down and get the double. And get to the button as well as you can there. You can actually line Luigi's feet on a line, to be honest. And right to the button. And you're good to go. This is pretty self-explanatory. We hit the button, we're good to go. I think we got the movement and all that other stuff figured out, right? Make sure you're always doing it. I'm not sure if there's going to be much to explain here. I'm getting booze. I guess I can explain the spawn points again. But I would assume you would know them by now, so I don't think I really need to explain the boost spawns. Maybe reads, maybe? Alright, so let's see here. Get a save state. And the other way. There we go. And there's a couple ways you can do this. This is a good thing to explain. There's a couple ways you can do this. Not everyone does it this way. You don't have to. You can get this. You can go for the text give this way and hit this. And then go for the boo in this scenario. Or you can get it from the other side. I'm not sure if this goes back on in one. It does, okay. We're gonna assume we don't know the boo's in there. And then you can pull it off this way. You have to make sure you get like at this corner. You can't see it, so it's a little bit harder, but it saves like an extra second. And if the boo is in here and you actually grab this during the cutscene, you can save like 3 or more or something like that, because of the cutscene you're pulling the sheet off at the same time as opposed to doing it before you hit something. I started doing it, but I haven't necessarily know if I'm going to stick with that or not. But yeah, because you're on the other side of the chest when you get it, you would get it faster. I did not do it well there, but you would get it faster. Okay, you can get the text gift from that side, or you can do it from the other side too, whatever works for you. Really is no read for this room there. In these 3 places, you just hit and hope it's in the first one. I sometimes will just walk by the second one until I see the read and continue on. You obviously want to lead the boo more to that left door and keep moving in that direction. There's also boo animations as well, so same thing with animations. Make sure you're using walls to push them off of if you want to, or keeping the animation small. You know, being centered with your movement when it starts, all that type of thing. And obviously if there's like just a yellow blinking light up here, if it's a little bit more pulsating a lot of times, especially if it's red, there's normally something in here. If there's something like a both, a lot of times it's like a combination of that. It's kind of hard to tell, but normally it's like a combination of that. But obviously there's no blinking at all, then they're either over here or over there. And make sure you're always getting the ghost, not just in this room, but most rooms, getting them where the vacuum is not pointed at the screen. You'll notice it in this room a lot for a lot of people, but it happens pretty much everywhere to a small degree. Some lag a bit more. If you point it at where the ghost, like if you point the vacuum at the screen while getting the ghost, it'll lag a little bit more and be a little slower. Just make sure you're not doing that. Use the mirror to get back down. Alright, let's see. Guess we'll save here just in case. Don't don't know if there'd be anything I could think to explain. You can go for a boo double here if you're on a really slow run. I mean, we already know we're in the chairs, but you can go for a boo double. There's a boo in here. What you have to do is you have to activate the boo and go through the door right as the boo is spawning, so that he kind of sits in there for a little while. Maybe I can wait for him to get over here to at least try it. Should move over here eventually. Okay, so right here. So like you would normally not even get rid of the vacuum, you just go right through here. And right when it spawns, just go for this. It's actually a good thing I saved now. Because you only go for this if it runs dead, and you... Because if you don't get this, it runs dead pretty much. And you try to lead him into the other room, basically. You try to get them while they're still both in the cutscene. And if you do, you can sometimes get them in a double. It's kind of pretty complex to explain double boos. And it'll probably be better explained, but you have to be like in as close as you can to the boos, make sure the vacuum isn't affecting them too much. And do like the best you can to not bulk them, but not be too far away. It's really tight with two boos. Normally though, on most runs, you would just do this normally. You can also pull boos back like I did there as well. Use like a... I'll probably explain this a lot more in the breaker room one cycle explanation that I'll do. Probably for this tutorial, I guess I'll do part of it, just to explain it, but you can like pull boos back with the timing depending on where they're angled, because they have like a little ball of air around them that you can move them around. After the cackle is over, after they do the second part of the cackle, you can like move them back just a little bit with that timing, with the C stick or controller stick, and they will move back. You just have to do it like in like a rotation of like a arc fashion, basically, to get it done more or less. So you're like moving, let's say you have the controller, you're moving it out like this, moving it out away from the ghost as opposed to just moving straight back if I was here. Try to get it away. And you're kind of moving back with the C stick. It's like a rotation. Let's see, maybe I can do it for this one, I don't know. Oh no, this boo's gonna be lead, it's not a big deal. We'll just go back to this one again, I guess. Let's see. Here we go. You see me kind of pulling him back there with the C-stick. Kind of give you an idea. This one's pretty self-explanatory because it just only goes one way in this version. Like in the 3DS version, that he literally goes the other way. I always asked myself why he went the other way. It didn't go this way. In this version, it didn't really make a bunch of sense, but yeah, kind of is what it is there. I won't do any optimal mashing here, there's no point in doing it. Alright, so we're going for the key. And I think it's slightly faster to use a vacuum instead of using, like, you're actually hitting it to grab the key, as long as your angle is correct. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to like turn around as fast as possible and get the mirror. Don't waste too much time. Faster the better. On to the mirror room. Down here. Same idea with movement and everything, right? This would be pretty self-explanatory if you played the game already. Just get these ghosts, keeping all those animations in mind. I find it easier to do it with doubles a lot of the time. I'm sorry, not, well, yeah, with doubles, but with grabbers rather is what I meant. Seem to be like easier to get good animations on. And you want to get over here so you can get to the boost spawns as fast as possible and hit them. So you can do this little save and quit. Just be careful of the hearts and everything and don't accidentally grab the fire medallion. See a nice little blue animation there because we paid attention to the animation, right? Kept the angle tight with the animation particularly. That's the key. It's always the key. Let's see, and we saved there. Guess we can just keep that then. So you want to move directly left and directly back. You know, the best thing to understand is just to like not have the vacuum out too long when you're doing it, that kind of idea. You want to get it as fast as possible, but you also don't want to hesitate too long and just stand here and wait, get fire, and then go slower too. You want to balance it. You're getting all fire when you're getting any element. You need to balance it. Let's see, imagine this still won't work, so we'll just do this. Save here. Alright. So, you want to get to these candles as fast as possible, and the thing you must understand is that I don't know how that made her come out, but okay. Literally, you want to put it like the top of the candles is the best part of the hitbox. That's what actually lights them up. It's very easy to miss them because you hit them too low. I mean, you can be off on angle, but you can also hit them too low. It can happen to a lot of people. It's the wrong one, there we go. So you want to keep the movement idea, you want to progress to the next one while getting the other ones. Yeah, that's what you want to keep in mind. Always objective based. The first one is the hardest one for me. Still always move like straight up, but I don't know how realistic that is either. And this key is always an interesting one too. I learned this one recently, so we'll keep that one in mind. Let's see. No, I'm gonna need to do that again. I'm gonna pause that. Oh wait, the key's in here, so I'm gonna need to do the save state again. There we go. Alright, so got this. And so for this key, you want to go straight right and aim straight up with the vacuum. Kind of sit yourself like right in the area. I'm gonna grab the key because it's gonna auto lock. Kind of want to sit yourself just a little bit, like you're leaning kind of on this like little curtain area here. This is wrapped around. Kind of leaning on that. And you want to time it with the same timing as every other key. And you just want to go straight back. You don't have to pull back on the C-stick. It's actually learned that it's actually better to not do that with this one. Just turn straight up, go straight back and get the key. So over here. And I did that just a tad bit early. head. See how it just comes straight to you. I used to do the C-stick with this, but it really messes you up with a side angle like all the other keys do. So what I used to do is something like this, I think. And sometimes you're okay. A lot of times you'll get like, you get pulled out and not actually get there, and it's bad. Obviously you want to get to the door as fast as you can. Obviously. And this butler cycle is going to be kind of weird regardless. I don't think it's going to help me for me to go back. Normally, if you do all that fast, cool thing about the save warp is that when you do that really fast, that entire section, and then you come out of there, the better the butler cycle will be, because it's at like a perfect position. So, you just want to like do that as it is, basically. And normally he'll be like right here. So that's close enough to call it a guess. So this is another good time to have optimal movement because you're actually on a timer depending on... because he's going to show up at the same time every time. So you have to get there as fast as you can. Got this hat to get first. Scare skip. Double, bring this hat to you. A little bit to help with the scare skip. I want to get this double and try to get the scare skip if you can. If you get, I probably explained this before, but if you get a when the cutscene's happening, like right when the initial cutscene happens, there's a few frames that you can like overlap it by grabbing an item at the same time and save a little bit of time from the cutscene, so you don't actually have to watch it. The chest will just spawn in while it's happening, basically. You know? If I get chest skips like me, I end up making this a little bit harder on myself, don't I? So the faster you do all that, the faster you get to butler. It's even a nice idea to do what I did there. You notice I went to the fire and made sure I got fire, that way I don't have to worry about it later. It's always a good thing, right? I don't gotta worry about that later. Alright, so continuing on, still by the chest, you want to read your room. Almost always he's in this tool chest or something is, but he likes to be in this a lot, so a lot of people check it first. Even though, you know, something may be right, I normally check the first thing I see, just to be sure. You don't want to feel like that idiot that didn't check something that was right next to you, you know? So always check it most of the time. But every once in a while, yeah, you kind of get in that habit of checking the tool shed, because he's almost always in there. It's not in there today. Here. And you want to get your lovely little text skip through the mouse hole. Don't go in too early or you will stay in there, just so you know. Don't go in there too early. Don't make sure that you don't fall in the mouse hole and get the pound of like the pump of the vacuum when the ghost goes into the vacuum on the same frame. If that happens, you'll stay in the mouse hole and be soft locked. Just make sure that doesn't happen. Now obviously you can time it so that you can do that as fast as you can before that happens. Like right before that happens, so you can go there faster. So you can save a little bit more time by being aware of that as well. We'll get a safe state before we hit the room here. Guessing I did that. Check to be sure. Alright, yep. So we go through the mouse hole. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can actually do a flashlight skip out of here. That's one thing you can do. do a flashlight skip and then aim up and go right to the mouse hole. Just make sure you're not directly in the mouse hole. I know this already, but if you go directly in it, you won't get anything. There at the right spot, you won't get anything. You have to be on the outer edges. It's not too far, but you have to be on the outer edges. There's a couple different ways you can do this. It's better to do a couple different like elimination bat strats for advanced strats. Some people will get rid of them right here, because when you initiate the vacuum in this game, it causes bats to come to you. So a lot of times we'll hit like the first puncher, and when you get hit, you have invincibility frames, right? So you do that, and you're able to like get rid of the bats. And to get the quad, I probably didn't do this advanced of a strat in the beginner tutorial, so I'll explain it a bit more. I wanted to explain the first part of that. It's just like rotation over and over and over again there. A lot of stuff. So we have that method, and the way that I actually do it, a strat I came up with not too long ago, was I do a scare skip on the first one and do the bats on the second instead. So you do the scare skip on this. Don't even touch them. Do R there so you get hit there. You get rid of the bats like that. And then you just want the element skip on the fourth ghost. A lot of people lose a lot of time to that quad on the animations, and if you don't have any bats, first of all, with any like double or triple or anything like that, you want to focus on the ghost with the most health. Make sure you get rid of him quickly, because most likely you'll get rid of the other one by accident along the way, and you'll go into the vacuum beforehand. So you saw how, like what I did there, I looked at that guy last. Now sometimes you have to be safe, in this case, because of the hidden room and the bats. You didn't actually get them all, which happens to me a lot. So I'm sure we can get an example of that. Not getting all the bats. Then you kind of, because you're invincible, basically during an animation suck-up, no matter how many ghosts it is, as long as one ghost is in animation suck-up, Luigi is invincible until it's in the vacuum. So you can spend your time getting the other guys afterwards if you're scared of it. Otherwise, always go for the other guy instead. Some people like take it risky and always do it that way. If you want to do that, you can. Well, this one's probably a safe one. Still did that bad, but I did focus on the other one. The spreads are so weird. You just have to get used to the spreads and a bunch of other stuff that you have to get used to. But you know, read your rooms and get them to the next room. And it's interesting with this one, like, I thought for a while that it might be like faster to go through that way, because you go through there a little bit faster and then stop and then go. It's actually the same amount of time that if you do that than if you roll all the way out here like normal. So it doesn't matter if that happens to you. You didn't lose time or save time. Just, I've never seen anyone get stuck in the mouse hole the other way, so I'm not sure if it's possible, but I assume that it is. So just keep the same thing in mind. Don't let the pound thing happen at the same time. And that will be a good stopping point. That'll be like a somewhat mid area of area 2. We'll continue with this later. Thanks everyone for watching the tutorial. I hope I'm helping people get a little bit more understanding of what you need to do, because a lot of this is just really scanning through it all. It's pretty obvious with a lot of this stuff, since how you already know how the game works, basically. So you're just kind of adding knowledge, and I did a lot of that knowledge in area 1, so we're kind of just like running a little bit of extra stuff in between it that I can think of that we don't already have. So, you know, just keep that in mind. And yeah, everyone have a good day. We'll see you.